This is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on the Noon News. I'm Andrea Lutz. As we start the school year, there is a worry over some transportation needs. We'll explain ahead, but first. More than 50% of Montanans are now fully vaccinated. Here's today's leading look. The state just crossed that threshold this week. Missoula County leads the way with 62% of their population vaccinated. Yellowstone County falling behind the state, still sitting at just 48%. This is Billings hospitals are at their greatest capacity of COVID-19 patients since December of last year. 81 people are currently in the hospital with the virus. Brown trout numbers in the Big Hole and Beaverhead rivers are on a steady decline, so wildlife officials are adding regulations to try and protect the valuable fish. Montana FWP biologists are now requiring catch and release for all brown trout. Fishing can only be done with single hook lures and no live bait. Plus, there's no fishing in the spawning areas between Maiden Rock and Melrose on the Bighorn River. Those in the fly fishing industry say they welcome regulations needed to save brown trout because businesses rely on fish to lure anglers to the area. Classes are already underway at Butte Central schools and masks are required. Principal J.P. Williams says students are taking the mask policy seriously. He says they are also temperature scanning and checking, sanitizing their hands and being hygiene conscious. He also believes last year was a great training year for this year. Other large districts in our state are either requiring or making it optional to wear a mask. In Laurel, the school board voted to keep masks optional. Laurel started school last week and there have been some reports of students who choose to wear masks being bullied. Well, the board voted last night to implement a policy to prevent that. It now requires an investigation into mask-related bullying complaints to determine further disciplinary action. And a pair of Bozeman Alternative School teachers are combining their skills and businesses to create a brand new school. It's called Opt Out. The two say that the school features elements of private education, outdoor learning, Montessori and Waldorf methods all rolled into one. The teachers say K-8 aims to raise students to be adaptive problem solvers who will fit into a rapidly changing world. They hope to offer high school learning sometime in the future. And that's today's leading look.
Well, we are certainly feeling the effects of that cold front as we're in the wake of it right now. Look at those temperatures for our highs today in the 60s and 70s. How are we looking as we progress over the next week or so? Well, the 6 to 10 day temperature trend, we're anywhere from near normal to 33 to a 40% chance cooler than average. You go beyond that into the first week of September, we're looking at anywhere from near normal to a 40% chance we could be below average. So definitely going to see those cooler temperatures try to hold on. Forecast wise, we're not seeing a lot of rain in the forecast today, but that could change and we could see some severe weather coming up. We'll take a look with the main forecast here in just a bit.
These buses are all ready to start carrying Helena Public Schools students when classes begin next week. But some of them may not be running right away, as the bus operator is dealing with a significant shortage of drivers.
Yeah, I think in 20 years, this is probably the most drivers we've been down at the beginning of the year.
The district's goal was to have 72 drivers. Their bus contractor, First Student, reported last week that they were about 20 short of that. First Student has brought in temporary employees to cover some of the openings, and the district is making a plan to combine some routes.
We'll be running essentially two different routes with one bus, which complicates the transportation and the fact that some kids will be getting up considerably early to catch the first tier of the route, and then there will be a second tier.
The most likely routes to combine are shorter ones around the city, and those with fewer students expected to use them. In addition to daily bus routes, the shortage could affect travel to sports and other extracurricular activities. School districts across the country are reporting bus driver shortages. In Helena, First Student held recruitment events earlier this summer, giving people a chance to try maneuvering a school bus. They're now offering sign-on bonuses of several $1,000s to new drivers. Leaders are particularly looking for candidates with a commercial driver's license. They will help people without a CDL get the necessary training, but it will take longer for them to be ready to take on a route. If you're interested in applying, you can find more information on our website. The district hopes people in the community will step up to help fill this gap.
We're in need of drivers, and we're looking at trying to help our kids have an opportunity to get to school in a fashion they did a year and a half ago.
The Helena School District plans to let parents know about any changes to their kids' routes by the end of the day Wednesday. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks are proposing a purchase of conservation easement to protect more than 27,000 acres of timberland near Libby. The proposed property is owned by Stimson Lumber Company and would remain privately owned if the easement is approved. Under the easement, Stimson would continue to manage the land while public access would remain open for hunting and fishing. Fish, Wildlife, and Parks spokesman Dylan Tabish says FWP received 68 comments in support of the purchase, with only 2 opposing. Tabish says the purchase would prevent Stimson from selling off portions of the land for residential and commercial development, protecting important wildlife habitat.
That basically would allow them to continue forestry practices, but it would not allow them to subdivide it, or if they decide they want to sell it for residential or commercial development, that would be prohibited. And then it also permanently ensures public access.
The Fish, Wildlife, and Parks Commission will vote on the proposed purchase during their October 28th meeting. In Libby, Sean Wells, MTN News.
Up next, Miller Robson is back in with another check of that statewide weather forecast. Plus, all this week, students are flocking to Missoula and they're starting school. There's quite a process for getting there. We're going to have more from Move-In Day.
The MTN Noon News continues right after this.